Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Sunday Tea. I am your host, Danielle Lee. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. As always, I would like to start by setting the intention that when these messages find you, they will help you along your healing journey and allow you to realize your value, your self-worth, and that you truly deserve to live the life that you desire. And this past week, I've been overthinking whether or not to insert my own story when I'm creating these episodes. And I myself am on my healing journey. I am not healed. I am healing. Healing takes a lifetime. And part of my healing journey is rediscovering and learning to use my voice, which has been suppressed for many years by other people and also by myself. So I decided that in order for me to really provide as much benefit as possible, I have to use experiences that are personal to me in order to express myself in a way that will allow you to gain inspiration, hope, support, and guidance along your own healing journey. Now, I may speak about things that you resonate with strongly. I may speak about things that you don't resonate with at all. So please take what applies to you and leave what doesn't. And I trust that these messages will reach the people who need to hear them. Now, I'm recording this at what's supposed to be the most joyful time of the year. For many of us, it can feel like the loneliest time of the year. And I'm not a personal fan of this particular time of the year. I probably have PTSD from my childhood Christmases, which were painfully miserable. And I felt like throughout my life, I've always been the reject at Christmas, always gate crashing somebody else's Christmas. So I really do understand the sense of loneliness that people feel, for whatever reason, at this particular time, when, we are supposed to be sharing it with family and our loved ones. And if you don't have that, it can be difficult. And even if you do have that, you can still feel lonely. I've spent my entire life since the age, I would say, from around 7 or 8, I started to recognize how lonely I felt within my environment. And I come from a large family. I had a lot of friends, and there was this sense of isolation in me that I couldn't understand. And I feel it's because, I am different. I never wanted to play with kids my age. I never wanted to do the things that they did. I always found the games that they played stupid. I had a room full of toys that I never touched. I just felt different in so many ways. And I feel, as I became more aware of that, and I feel other people started to point it out, it just created more of a sense of isolation within me. And moving through my teens, I found myself in some very difficult situations, and I just felt as though I was more isolated from my family and the people that were there to, build my foundation than ever before. And being isolated or feeling isolated can be really confusing, and it can, cause you to feel really depressed and down, because where do you fit in? Where do you belong? And taking it back to episode 3, when I was discussing, abandonment wounds and rejection, for me personally, I feel a lot of my loneliness and isolation stemmed from those wounds. And it's been that way throughout my entire life, I would say, up until recently. It's only the past maybe the past 2 to 3 years, I've actually decided to, stay home at this time of year and create that joy for the sake of my 2 kids. If I had my way, I would stay in bed all day, not to be a Grinch, but that's what I would be happy doing. I just don't feel like, the pressure that's put on people at this time of year to be happy and smiley and jolly is fair, because most people don't feel that way. So, that sense of loneliness is really exaggerated and heightened around this time. And I think, when you come from a big family and when you are surrounded by people and you're still intensely lonely, that's probably one of the worst feelings to experience in the world, because it can make you feel really depressed, and it takes so much strength to get up day after day and put the smile on your face and pretend like everything is okay when it isn't. And, when I went through my years of depression, that's what I used to do every single day. And I think part of it was it was part of my survival, sort of like numbing myself from everything that was really happening. Just put the face on, show yourself, and get the day over with, and it takes a lot of strength to do that. It's really draining and it's very damaging. And even now, when I look back at certain pictures of myself, or when I look at pictures when my kids were younger, babies, I actually feel physical pain, because in some of those pictures I'm smiling so brightly, but those were actually the worst days of my life. And it's a really horrible place to be. It wasn't until 2020 when I was forced into isolation that my transformation actually truly began. And I feel it was in progress prior to that, but as I had never spent time alone, it didn't really have a chance to, take hold, and for everything in my mind, my body, my spirit to kind of come together and figure out what was going on. And when I had that first taste of isolation, it truly became addictive. And it's only when I was in that isolation that I was able to see just how chaotic my environment has been. And at no point did I have the space to even process any of my trauma or begin to understand the real level and depth of healing that I would have to do. Now, I'm a true advocate for therapy, and I have had therapy on and off, different therapists, different types of interventions throughout many years of my life. And even then, it's like, I understood most of the time I felt I understood what I was speaking about. It's only later on through the years of therapy that I've actually really been able to process it in a different way. But even then, you have therapy, but there wasn't that kind of inner understanding of what was really happening within myself, or what transformations needed to occur in order to change my life moving forward. I was still in victim mode. I was still perhaps not really realizing that the power to change truly lied within me. And even if I had realized it, chances are I just didn't believe that I was capable of achieving that in my life, with all of the times I'd been knocked down. So yeah, 2020, being in that isolation, and for the first time ever, being able to see a clearer picture of the chaos that I was still ingrained in. It was as if, from that moment, there was no turning back or no denying the healing that had to now take place. And without being in the isolation, I would never have come to those realizations. And, it's the first time that my nervous system had a break. It's the first time my nervous system literally had a chance to breathe. And the more I became isolated, the more and more sensitive I became to my environment and the situations and the people that I was, around. And it's never been intentional to isolate myself. This was just a part of my healing journey, and it's the path that I had to take and still do take, because my solitude is everything to me. I love my solitude to a level that I can't express. And being alone, it just, for the first time through isolating, it was the first time in my life that I didn't feel lonely anymore. And it amazed me that I'm on my own. I am alone because I'm actively isolating, and I don't feel lonely. And I will say, ever since then, it's not something that I've been able to break out of. And I feel, people, when you isolate, truly spending time alone, it gives you the opportunity to relearn yourself. It gives you the opportunity to heal from your trauma. It gives you the opportunity to figure out what you want in your life and what you don't want. What harms you? What hurts you? What do you need more of to promote and increase your healing? You cannot figure these things out in environments that don't promote your healing. And I think when you're lonely, the thought of being alone is very scary. And it's ironic that you need to be alone in order to fill that space of emptiness. And I just think for me, it's been so powerful in transforming me in ways that I could never have possibly imagined. Who I am now is not somebody that I thought I had the capability of becoming. And, you know, I still consider myself in the very early stages of my healing journey. I've had a lot to work through. Healing isn't rainbows and butterflies. It's very dark. It's gruesome. It's painful. It's lonely. And learning to be alone and isolating allows you to go through that journey, and it allows you to be guided by your inner voice, your inner desires, your inner navigation system. You know, it allows you to hear the messages that you need to hear in order to take that next step. And when you're able to sit in that isolation without any distractions, without anything to numb your pain, that's when the true healing can begin. And I don't believe I'm any different to anybody else. We all have the ability. We've always had the ability to, you know, reach our true capabilities. The only people holding us back from doing that is us. We allow the external environment that we're in and other people's voices to take that power away from us. But it's always been there. You've always had it within you. And I just feel, you know, had I not taken that step to isolate, I would still be in those days of loneliness, those days of not fitting in, those days of feeling like, you know, I'm the odd one out. What's wrong with me? Why can't I, you know, just be like everybody else? And that was never, I just don't think that was ever the path that I was supposed to take. Maybe I was supposed to embrace my differences, and I just didn't have the confidence to do that. And when you have people around you who make you feel weird for being different, you know, it makes it difficult for a child or a teenager to stand out and be different. So embracing your individuality is the most powerful thing that you can do. And why would you want to be the same as everybody else anyway? And I feel, you know, when you isolate, it affects you in a way that you just can't unsee. And it's not possible. Even if I don't know so much now. I think up until, I think the past year and a half, I've kind of stopped grieving the old me, and I've accepted that, you know, that person doesn't exist anymore. Yes, she just doesn't exist anymore. And now where I am, I wouldn't want to go back to that Danielle who I used to be. And for the people that you love and for the people who know you as you were, it's very difficult for them. They will feel like you've abandoned them. They will feel like you don't want to be around them anymore. They will feel probably resentful of the fact that you're isolating and you're not interacting in ways that you used to. They're, you know, the commonalities between you are becoming like less and less, to the point that they more or less disappear. And I feel when you're going through the transformation of self-growth and healing, a lot of what you experience it's not possible to put it into words. So for me, it's not something I've ever wanted to explain. My personal journey of growth and healing is just that. It's very personal to me. And I've just had to put myself first in that process. And I feel if you're coming from a very, you know, chaotic or traumatic past, and you have made that decision to heal because you want better for your life, because you want to turn things around, and understand that in order for your life to turn around, you have to do that. You have the power to do that. If you're going to stay stuck in a negative mindset, and if you're going to stay stuck in a victim mentality and a negative environment, that's exactly what you're going to keep manifesting in your life. Every situation I've been in the past was a manifestation of my own beliefs about myself. So in order for me to change that, I've had to turn myself inside out. And when you do that, the people around you won't understand, because they can't see the work that you're doing inside. Inner work isn't something that you can, you know, show on a piece of paper or prove on your social media. Well, you can, but who wants to do that? Inner work is just that, inner work, you know? And you have to put yourself first on that journey. You don't have time, and you don't have space to figure out, oh, what should I say to this? You just don't. And it's an unfair situation and position to put yourself in. So if you want to be on a journey of healing because you want to improve your life, you first must understand that your needs come first. And I would often say to myself, you know, if I go into this situation, is it going to harm me or is it going to heal me? And if it's going to harm me in any way, shape or form, doesn't even matter if it's a little tiny bit, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to entertain it, and I'm not going to move forward in that direction. And there's a lot of trial and error. It is very isolating, because not many people are going to understand the journey that you are having to take for yourself. And that's exactly what it is. It's your own personal journey that you will go through alone. It's not easy, but it will allow you to grow and shape your life in the way that you want to. I believe that the people who are meant to be in your life, the people who truly love you and value you, they may not understand your journey at the time. They may not understand why you've disappeared off the face of the earth. But if they're truly your people, they will be there when you're ready to face the world again. So if you are in a place where you are feeling lonely and you don't quite know how to overcome that loneliness, I feel, you know, you can use that time alone to work on yourself. Try to understand yourself on a personal level, your wants, your needs, your desires, your dislikes, your likes, your bad habits, your good habits, and get to know yourself. And from my experience, the only way that I've been able to overcome my isolation and loneliness is truly by isolating. I've been in monk mode for the past 5 years, and it's coming up to 6 years, and I don't know if I'll ever stop isolating. I don't have a desire to stop isolating. And I, have to do what works for me and trust that I will find my way. And, also just trust that where I am at this time is exactly where I need to be. And inner work is really powerful when you commit yourself. And it's a journey that you have to devote yourself to day in and day out. Sometimes you wish you could catch a break, but once you're on this journey, it's kind of impossible to catch a break. And I feel anybody on this journey who can resonate with what I'm saying will totally understand what I mean. Yeah. So, to all my people out there who are feeling lonely, particularly at this time of year, don't despair. Take it as an opportunity to look at what can change in your life, what you can do to improve your life from within. Because believe me, when I say everything you want to do and every change you want to make starts within, and you've already got it within you. You just have to give yourself space and time and the silence to recognize it. So, thank you for being here. I hope these messages have been helpful to you. And I will see you next week for episode 6 of Sunday Tea with me, your host, Danielle. Take care. Bye-bye.